Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday morning to you, and welcome back to Morning Musings. I do appreciate you being with me. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. We're going to get into our continuing discussion of Jesus' prediction of the preaching of the gospel into all of the witness, all the world as a sign of the end in a moment. But I want to make a very, very exciting announcement. You know, many of you have contacted me about my book, The Death of Adam and the Life of Christ. Well, I've mentioned before that I've had tremendous formatting issues. I do not know why. I just do not know why. The paperback copy or version is not yet out, but it will be very soon, Lord willing. However, the Kindle version of this book, The Death of Adam and the Life of Christ, is now available. You can go to Amazon and just do the search, The Death of Adam, the Life of Christ, and you will find it very inexpensive. And I want to tell you, there's not another book like this anywhere. And you can tell about the potential impact of this by the fact that the enemies of covenant eschatology are already attacking it vehemently, mocking, ridiculing. Any attempted exegesis? No, not really. Not that I've seen, anyway. And so that tells you a little bit about it. That the enemies of covenant eschatology realize how important this issue is. So, again, go to Amazon.com, just do a search under books for The Death of Adam, the Life of Christ, and you'll find it there. And for all those of you who have already purchased a copy of that, I do appreciate that so very, very much. Now, again, we're looking at the fact that Jesus said, this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world as a witness to the nations. Matthew 24:14. In Mark 16:15 and 16, Jesus said, go preach the gospel to every creature. Go into all the world, preach the gospel to every creature. Now, he used the Greek word cosmos. We examined that yesterday. And how Paul in Colossians 1:5-7 said unequivocally that the gospel had been preached in all the world and was bringing forth fruit in all the world in the same identical way that it had come to the Colossians and was bringing fruit in them. Now, again, if it was bringing forth fruit in the world in the same way that it was bringing forth fruit in the Colossians, then the gospel had been objectively preached in all the world. You can't produce fruit from that which you've never heard, never accepted. But in Mark 16:15 and 16, remember that Jesus said, this gospel shall be preached in all the world for a witness to every creature. He uses the Greek word ktisis. Now, I tell you, I must admit that some years ago, when I very first read this passage, I was stunned. I mentioned to you earlier in the week how our obligation is to determine what the Scriptures meant to the people to whom it was written. What did it mean to them first, and then to determine what it means for us? What is the application? We cannot impose our cosmology onto the ancient text. That is a miscarriage of hermeneutic. Okay, so here is Jesus who said the gospel will be preached to every creature, ktisis. In Colossians 1, once again, after saying that the gospel had been preached in all the world, cosmos, and was bringing forth fruit in all the world, as it was among the Colossians, Paul says this in Colossians chapter 1 and verse 23. If you continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and do not be moved away from the hope of the gospel, which you have heard. See, he's affirming once again, the Colossians had objectively heard, objectively received the gospel. The gospel was bringing forth fruit and obedience in them objectively. Which you have heard, which was, past tense, okay, which was preached to every creature under heaven. Now, once again, he uses the term in pasi katisai, or katisai. The gospel has been, past tense, proclaimed. It's interesting that he uses the Greek word keruzo. Anyway, has been proclaimed. That's the meaning of keruzo. In all creation under the heaven. Now let me ask you, if Paul wanted to affirm the fulfillment of Mark 16:15, how else could he have expressed it? Jesus said, preach the gospel to every creature. Paul said, every creature under heaven has heard the gospel. Folks, it doesn't get any better than that, and it doesn't get any plainer than that. It is only by imposing our cosmology, our view of the world, our view and definition of the nations, our view of every creature, only by imposing our modern concepts onto the text can we negate and mitigate and destroy what Paul said. Now remember, Paul got his eschatology. Paul got his gospel directly from Jesus. Galatians chapter 1, 10 and 11. He didn't receive it from anybody else. That means Paul knew exactly what Jesus meant when he said, go preach the gospel to every creature. Go preach into all the world. Go preach to all the nations. He knew exactly what Jesus said, and Paul said, it has been done. And as we shall see very soon, that means that Paul believed the end was near. That's right. Jesus said this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to the nations. Then comes the end. Here is Paul saying the gospel has been preached to all the world. It's been preached in all the nations. It's been preached to every creature. And Paul will affirm unequivocally, undeniably, and explicitly that the end was very near. Doesn't get any clearer than that. Hey, don't forget, 2-book special for the month of July 2019. Regular price for the two of them individually, over $40. For the month of July 2019, doesn't apply to overseas sales, but for the month of July, $30 post-paid. And if you are overseas, and if you want to have a copy of these books for your own personal use, not for distribution, okay, contact me about a Kindle version at a greatly reduced price, either Kindle or PDF. Okay, well, tomorrow, what do I do with it? Tomorrow, we're going to continue our examination and our refutation of Sam Frost's book, The Parousia of the Son of Man. You're going to see something very disturbing, very remarkable, and like I said, very troubling in Mr. Frost's book. Very disturbing indeed. You don't want to miss it. So I'll see you on the flip side.